Hi guys, Ken here, Postcards from Cebu. Several of you have asked me to do a video, a more in-depth video of the CR-1 visa process. That's the process that Vivian and I used when she immigrated to the U.S. and came here and got a green card and was able to live and stay here. Anyway, the CR-1 visa process. And the first thing I should tell you is that while I am an engineer and a musician, I am not a lawyer. So none of this is to be construed as legal advice by any means. But I can tell you what I did go through, Vivian and I, and give you some information and some steps that will hopefully make you feel more comfortable with it. Being an engineer, I'm used to taking care of a lot of details, and so for me it was no big deal to take care of the paperwork and make sure I had everything organized and all that kind of stuff. So depending on the type of person you are, you have to make that call, whether or not you're willing to go through dealing with all the paperwork and dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's and all that kind of stuff. If you're not, there are places out there that can help you. One I believe is called Rapid Visa. There are others. There are tons of them out there that specialize in taking care of the paperwork side for you. If you're totally freaked out and uncomfortable, then my advice to you is go hire a lawyer. Get a good lawyer. But you really don't have to if you're okay taking care of the paperwork. So I'm going to walk you through the resource that I used when I was dealing with all this a couple of years ago now, but I'll go ahead and walk you through it. And it starts with the State Department website. And I'll put a link in the description section below for you. You can start there. The first thing I chose to do was a fair amount of research so that I knew what it was I was looking at. There are two very large government agencies involved here. The first one is Homeland Security and the Immigration, USCIS, U.S. Immigration and Citizenship Service or something like that. Very large part of Homeland Security. And the second big government agency is the State Department. And you're going to pay fees every step of the way. Every time you file another piece of paper, you're going to be paying a fee. The first one's the largest, $535 to file the I-130. So let's go ahead and get into the website a little bit, and I'll show you how I went about doing the research and what all that looks like. Okay, so my first step here was to be honest with you, if you do a Google search on CR-1, it'll lead you to this website. This is travel.state.gov up here, and this is family immigration, okay? Immigrant visa for a spouse of a U.S. citizen. So you do have to, of course, first be a U.S. citizen. And since I know most of my audience are American guys that are maybe married to a Filipina, I'm going to talk specifically about that. Of course, that was my situation, and that's really the only thing I know. I'm no expert on immigration, but I can tell you what we did. So the first place I went was here. And if you read through this, it tells you everything you need to know. What is a spouse? The first step. U.S. sponsors, minimum age requirements, and there are other things that may or may not be applicable to your situation. Okay. CR, by the way, stands for conditional resident. The other filing is, and what that means, conditional resident means that if you've been married for less than 2 years, then she gets a conditional green card, and you have to go back and visit USCIS after that 2-year period, or actually right before the 2-year period comes to an end, and then apply for the long-term 10-year green card. Okay, so if you're married less than 2 years, it's going to be a CR-1 conditional residence. If you're married longer than that, before she enters the country, then it'll be the permanent green card. Okay, but you can read all of this stuff. How long does it take? Well, for Vivian and I, it took 10 months. I've had people tell me that it depends on the service center that your case is assigned to, and things like that. I think mine was in Potomac, which is here close to D.C., where I live. So I guess they send it to someplace close. So the I-130 form is the first step that you're going to take. Okay, so read through all this, make sure you know who's what. Okay, but the first step toward an immigrant visa is filing a petition. And yes, even though you are an American citizen, you still have to petition the U.S. government for your spouse to immigrate to the United States. So for instructions on how to file a petition, including where you should send a petition, is see the USCIS website. So there are plenty of links in here and everything to all the other places you're going to go in the process. Very quickly, I tallied up the cost so that you know ahead of time this is going to cost some bucks. It's not cheap. The filing for the I-130 is $535. Then after USCIS does their thing with it, they're going to send it to the National Visa Center, which I think is up in New Hampshire or Connecticut, something like that. And the National Visa Center is going to charge a $325 fee. Then you'll be hit with another fee for $125. Then when they issue the visa, they charge you $165. Not to mention that, and if your wife is not in the Manila area, she's going to have to travel there because that's the only place that they do the visa interviews. She'll also need to go to St. Luke's clinic and have the medical exam and make sure all our vaccinations and everything are up to speed. That's going to cost you $328, something like that. It's right now it's 16,042 pesos. Then she's got to fly to the U.S., and that's going to cost $1,000 plus, depending on how you do it. When Vivian was, after everything was done and she had her visa, she flew. What I did was I put her on a Philippine airline flight that was flying directly from Cebu to L.A., and then I just flew out from the East Coast to L.A., met her there, and all that's in the video, actually, and then we stayed a few days at a hotel in L.A., and then we came back to the East. But there are lots of different ways to do it, but all total, with the numbers I just threw out there, I figure it's about $2,778. That's what it's going to cost, and that doesn't count your airfare or food or anything else that you do. So, I mean, there's a lot of flexibility in the way you can approach this, but that's kind of what you're looking at. So don't be shocked with what they call that sticker shock when you realize it's going to cost you about $3,000 to get all this done. Okay. So you want to read through all these requirements and make sure that you understand it. Okay. Like I said, it's been over a year since Vivian and I went through this, and so I simply don't remember everything. But if you look at this, it'll lead you through it. An American sponsor, okay, so the guy that's bringing the wife over, are going to have to make an affidavit of support, and you're going to have to sign it, and you're promising the government that your wife will not become a ward of the state, if you will. Won't end up on food stamps and welfare and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so you have to demonstrate to the government that you make enough money to support her. I use this I-864EZ form because if you've been in the same job for a number of years and you have all your tax returns and everything, I believe I used that form right there. Okay. But this is kind of putting the cart before the horse. So let's take a look at the I-130 form. That's what this is. The I-130 petition for alien relative. Now there was a link to that on this site right here, which will take you over to this USCIS website. Okay, and all the forms and the description of everything you need to do is located right here. But you're going to start by filling out this form, and there's a set of instructions for it, which you can click on and read. So we look at the I-130 instructions. Okay, now, so you want to fill out all these blocks carefully, all right? I put together, when I did this, I put together a little package, kind of like doing a term paper for school, with a cover sheet and listed all the contents, all the documents that I had in there. I also filed this form here, which is a USCIS form G1145, which basically you're giving them your information, like an email address and a mobile phone number, so that they can notify you electronically. I found that to be a lot more convenient. Okay, so you probably want to do that. Otherwise, you're going to wait for snail mail, and it'll just make everything take a little longer. Once again, even though I did that, it still took Vivian and I 10 months to get through this process. So you're going to fill out the I-130, package it into a nice little term paper style with a table of contents that defines everything, you list everything that's in there. And when I sent the I-130 off, I sent it from my office. We have a shipping and receiving dock, and they sent it for me, UPS, with a signature required and everything, so that I knew when it was delivered and who received it and all that kind of stuff. So I would say at this point, read through all this stuff. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the description section below. Okay. So we're essentially talking a multi-step process here. There are basically three overall steps involved. The first one is to file the I-130. Then you're going to wait a while. Then, assuming everything's cool with that, it's approved, it'll be sent to the National Visa Center. That's step number 2, and you'll pay additional fees. And once that's all finished, the National Visa Center will schedule her appointment date at the embassy in Manila. And before that, she will need to go to St. Luke's and get the medical clearance and everything taken care of. So there you have it, guys. I'm gonna leave it there for right now. Like and share this video. Feel free to hit me with questions and comments, and I'll try to clarify anything I can. It looks like this is going to be a multiple video topic, so feel free to hit me with questions in the meantime, and I will try to answer them in the next video, or answer them one-on-one if it's not taking too much time. Okay, like and share this video, please. Feel free to click on the GoFundMe link if you want to donate to help to finance the channels, paying Vivian's bills. And somewhere up there is going to be Vivian's pretty face. Click on it. Subscribe to the channel. We'd love to have you.